Commander Lee Hyon stood in front of the giant screen at Earth Defense Station Alpha. The screen was bigger than his entire house back on Earth, but right now it showed something that made his blood run cold. 3 hours ago, this alien message had arrived from deep space, and every person in the command center was still trying to understand what they had just seen. The aliens called themselves the Calithian Empire, and they ruled over 14 different star systems. Their message was simple and terrifying: humans were not allowed to leave their solar system ever. If any human tried to build colonies on other planets, the aliens would destroy every human in the galaxy. It was not a request or a suggestion, it was a final warning. Dr. Park. Miran walked over to Commander Lee with her tablet in hand. She was Earth's best scientist when it came to studying alien life forms. Even she looked worried as she showed him her analysis of the creatures in the message. The aliens were huge, almost 3 times taller than the biggest human. Their bodies were covered in thick armor that looked like it was made of metal and bone. They had 4 arms instead of 2, and their eyes glowed bright red like burning coals. The alien leader called himself General Vex, and he spoke perfect English, which was scary enough on its own. How did he know human language so well? His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. When he talked about destroying planets, he sounded almost bored, like he was talking about the weather. It was clear that killing entire civilizations was just another day at work for him. Behind General Vex, the humans could see massive alien warships floating in space. Each ship was bigger than New York City. They had strange designs with sharp edges and glowing weapons. The ships looked like they were built for one purpose only: war and destruction. The sight of them made every human in the command center feel very small and helpless. General Vex showed them pictures of dead planets scattered across the galaxy. These worlds had once been home to billions of living beings. Now they were nothing but burned rock floating in space. The alien general explained that these planets had belonged to species that tried to expand beyond their home systems. The Calithians had turned them into examples for others to see. This is what happens when you disobey the Empire. Captain Kim Dae-ho slammed his fist on the metal table in anger. He was a hero who had helped build the first human colonies on Mars. For 20 years, humans had been planning to reach the stars. They had built generation ships that could carry thousands of families to new worlds. Children had grown up dreaming of walking on planets under alien suns. Now this alien empire wanted to crush those dreams before they could become real. The alien message continued with more threats. General Vex explained that the Calithian Empire had been watching Earth for many years. They knew about human technology and human plans. They had waited until now to make contact because they wanted humans to develop just enough to understand what they were losing. The aliens enjoyed crushing hope more than crushing primitive species. Dr. Park studied the alien technology shown in the message. Their weapons could destroy entire continents with single shots. Their ships could travel between stars in days, while human ships would take decades. The gap between human and Calithian technology was enormous. It would be like Stone Age humans trying to fight modern armies with tanks and helicopters. The command center filled with worried voices as officers discussed what this meant for humanity. Earth had spent 50 years preparing for interstellar travel. The Luna shipyards were building 3 massive colony ships right now. Millions of families had signed up to be colonists. They had sold their homes and quit their jobs to join the mission to Kepler 442b, which was a planet that could support human life. Commander Lee thought about his own daughter, who was training to be a pilot on one of the colony ships. She had dreamed of flying between the stars since she was 5 years old. How could he tell her that aliens had forbidden humans from ever leaving their solar system? How could he explain that her dreams were now impossible? Alien General continued his message by showing more destroyed civilizations. The Vorthak had been a peaceful trading species. The Calithians had wiped them out when they tried to establish new trade routes. The hegemony of Zara had been master engineers who built beautiful cities on dozens of worlds. The aliens had turned every one of their planets into smoking ruins. The pattern was always the same: any species that tried to expand beyond their home system was completely destroyed. Dr. Park noticed something interesting about the alien message. The Calithians seemed to enjoy talking about their victories. They showed detailed images of burning cities and dying populations. It was clear that they did not just want to control other species, they wanted other species to be afraid. They wanted to be seen as gods who could give life or death to entire civilizations. Captain Kim stood up and walked to the big screen. His face was red with anger. These aliens thought they could just tell humans what to do. They thought humans would be scared and obey like good little pets. Well, they were about to learn something about human nature that they did not expect. Humans did not like being told what they could not do. The message ended with General Vex giving humans exactly one standard galactic month to respond. They could either agree to stay in their solar system forever or face complete destruction. There would be no negotiation and no second chances. The Calithian Empire had spoken, and lesser species were expected to obey without question. Commander Lee looked around the command center at all the worried faces. These were the best and brightest humans that Earth had to offer: scientists, engineers, military officers, and diplomats. They had dedicated their lives to expanding human civilization across the galaxy. Now they faced an enemy that could destroy them all with ease. But something strange was happening in the room. Instead of fear, Lee saw determination in people's eyes. Instead of panic, he heard angry voices talking about how they would not bow to alien threats. The human spirit was already fighting back against this ultimatum. They had been warned not to come to the stars, but every person in that room was already thinking the same thing. They were going to come anyway. The Calithians had made one critical mistake in their message. They had assumed that threats would make humans back down. They did not understand that threatening humans often made them more determined to do exactly what they were told not to do. The alien empire was about to learn a very important lesson about human nature. The warning signal had been received loud and clear, but humans had their own message to send back. 3 days after the alien warning message arrived, every leader on Earth gathered for the most important meeting in human history. The United Earth Council chambers had never seen so many worried faces. President Santos stood at the front podium, looking out at representatives from every nation. Every person in that room knew they were about to make a decision that would either save humanity or destroy it completely. The debate had been going on for hours. Some leaders wanted to obey the Calithian Empire. They argued that humans were not ready to fight aliens with such advanced technology. Why risk the complete destruction of Earth just to build colonies on distant planets? Other leaders disagreed strongly. They said that giving up now would mean humans would be prisoners in their own solar system forever. Dr. Choi Yuna stepped forward with her presentation about Kepler 442b. She had spent 10 years studying this planet, and it was perfect for human life. The world had clean water, breathable air, and land that could grow Earth crops. It was only 37 light years away, which was close enough for human ships to reach. The planet was waiting for them like a gift from the universe. Commander Lee Hyun supported Dr. Choi completely. He explained that 3 colony ships were already being built in the Luna shipyards. The new Sol was almost finished and could carry 50,000 people to their new home. The ship had everything needed to start a new civilization: advanced computers, farming equipment, medical supplies, and even frozen samples of Earth animals and plants. Captain Kim Dae-ho stood up and slammed his hand on the table again. His face was red with anger and determination. He reminded everyone that his grandfather had fought in World War III to keep humans free. His father had died building the first Mars colony to expand human territory. Now aliens wanted to stop all human progress just because they were afraid of competition. Well, Captain Kim had news for these aliens. Humans did not surrender to bullies. The Korean representative Lee Minji spoke about the thousands of families who had already volunteered to be colonists. These brave people had sold everything they owned to join the mission to Kepler 442b. They had trained for years, learning how to survive on an alien world. Children had grown up dreaming of playing under the light of a different star. Were they supposed to tell these families that their dreams were now forbidden? Dr. Park Miran presented her analysis of the alien technology. The Calithian ships were indeed very advanced, but they were not magic. Human scientists had identified several possible weaknesses in their designs. The aliens seemed to rely too much on energy shields and not enough on armor plating. Their weapons were incredibly powerful but took a long time to recharge between shots. Engineer Shin Taemin from the Luna shipyards had been working day and night to improve human defenses. He had installed new shield generators on the new Sol that could protect against most energy weapons. The colony ship also had advanced stealth systems that could hide it from alien sensors. These improvements would not make humans equal to the Calithians, but they might give the colonists a fighting chance. The military leaders discussed various plans for protecting the colony mission. Admiral Yoon suggested sending escort ships with the new Sol to fight off any alien attacks General Park wanted to. Arm the colony ship with nuclear missiles in case they encountered Calithian patrols. Every option was dangerous, but doing nothing seemed even more dangerous. President Santos called for a break in the discussions. She needed time to think about this impossible choice. On one hand, the Calithian Empire could destroy Earth with ease. Their technology was centuries ahead of human science. Their threats were not empty words. They had already destroyed dozens of other civilizations. On the other hand, giving up now would mean the end of human expansion forever. During the break, many leaders talked quietly in small groups. The younger representatives were mostly in favor of defying the aliens. They argued that freedom was worth any risk. The older leaders were more cautious. They remembered the horrors of previous wars and did not want to see humanity destroyed. But even they admitted that living as prisoners was not really living at all. Dr. Choi Yuna used the break to show everyone new pictures of Kepler 442b. The planet had beautiful blue oceans and green continents that looked almost exactly like Earth. The climate was mild and perfect for growing food. The gravity was only slightly different from Earth, so humans would adapt quickly. It was everything humanity had dreamed of finding among the stars. When the meeting resumed, President Santos asked for input from the colony volunteers themselves. Captain Lim Junwoo was scheduled to command the new Sol, and he spoke for all the colonists. He said they understood the risks, but they had not trained for years just to give up now. These families were ready to face any danger to give their children a better future. The vote was closer than anyone expected, but the result was clear. Humanity would proceed with Project Horizon, despite the alien threats. The final count was 67 nations in favor and 23 opposed. It was not unanimous, but it was enough. The colony ship New Sol would launch as planned. In 6 months, the decision sent shockwaves around the world. Some people celebrated in the streets, believing that humanity had chosen courage over fear. Others protested angrily, saying that the government was leading everyone to destruction. News channels showed both celebrations and riots as people struggled to understand what this choice meant for their future. General Vex and the Calithian Empire would receive their answer soon. Humanity had heard the warning and decided to ignore it completely. The colony ship would launch toward Kepler 442b, carrying 50,000 brave souls to their new home. The aliens had told humans not to come to the stars, but humans were coming anyway. Dr. Park Moran spent the remaining months improving the colony ship defenses. She worked with engineer Shin to install better weapons and stronger shields. The new Sol would not be helpless if it encountered alien warships. It might not win a fight against the Calithian Empire, but it would not surrender without a battle. Captain Kim Dae-ho volunteered to lead one of the escort ships that would protect the new Sol during the first part of its journey. His ship, the Indomitable, was small compared to alien vessels, but it was fast and well armed. More importantly, it was crewed by humans who refused to bow to alien intimidation. As launch day approached, the world held its breath. Everyone knew that sending the colony ship might doom humanity to destruction, but they also knew that staying home would doom humanity to slavery. The choice had been made, and there was no turning back. Now the Calithian Empire had issued their warning, but humans had made their decision. They were going to the stars, no matter what aliens tried to stop them. Captain Lim Junwoo stood on the bridge of the new Sol, watching Earth grow smaller behind them. The colony ship was massive, but it felt tiny in the endless darkness of space. 50,000 people slept in cryogenic pods below, while the crew of 300 stayed awake to guide them through the dangerous journey ahead. The engines created a brilliant blue glow that could be seen from Earth even during the day. Dr. Nam Yoonji checked every single cryogenic pod personally. Each sleeping colonist represented someone's dream of a new life. The pods contained entire families who had given up everything to join this mission. Children who would wake up as adults on an alien world, parents who hoped to give their kids opportunities that Earth could not provide old people who wanted one last adventure before they died. The ship computer showed their route to Kepler 442b. It would take 43 years to reach their destination. Even at near light speed, the journey would take them through empty space far from any star systems. This was intentional. Captain Lim wanted to avoid areas where Calithian patrol ships might be watching. The longer they could stay hidden, the better their chances of survival. Navigation Officer Kong Minho spent hours studying star charts and alien patrol patterns. The Calithians controlled trade routes between major star systems, but they seemed to ignore empty regions of space. This gave the new Sol a chance to sneak past their defenses like a mouse avoiding cats. The colony ship would have to be very careful and very quiet 6 months into their journey. The ship long-range sensors detected something that made everyone heart skip a beat. 3 alien vessels were moving toward them from the direction of the Calithian home system. The ships were sleek and dangerous-looking, with weapon systems that could vaporize the new Sol in seconds. Captain Lim ordered all stop and waited for the inevitable. The Calithian ships approached slowly like predators, stalking their prey. Their hulls were black with red markings that seemed to glow in the starlight. Each ship was 10 times smaller than the new Sol, but their weapons were 100 times more powerful. The colony ship crew watched helplessly as the aliens prepared to destroy their dreams. Chief Engineer Park Sang-woo had been planning for this moment since before they left Earth. He had spent months modifying the ship systems for exactly this situation. As the Calithian vessels moved closer, he activated a series of devices hidden throughout the new Sol. The results were spectacular and terrifying. The colony ship seemed to explode in a massive fireball that lit up space for millions of kilometers. Debris scattered in all directions, while secondary explosions continued for several minutes. The Calithian ships scanned the wreckage with their sensors, looking for any signs of survivors. They found nothing but twisted metal and frozen bodies floating in the void. What the aliens did not know was that Chief Engineer Park had created the most elaborate magic trick in human history. The explosion was real, but it came from empty cargo containers filled with fuel and scrap metal. The debris field contained fake bodies made from plastic and clothing. The real new Sol was hidden inside the debris cloud, running on minimum power and completely silent. Calithian patrol ships spent 2 hours examining the wreckage. They took detailed scans and even collected some debris samples for analysis. Their sensors showed exactly what they expected to see: the complete destruction of another primitive species that had dared to defy the Empire. Satisfied with their work, the alien ships turned around and headed back to their patrol route inside the hidden new Sol. The crew held their breath until the alien vessels disappeared from their sensors. Captain Lim waited another full day before ordering the ship back to normal operations. They had survived their first encounter with the Calithian Empire, but everyone knew it would not be their last. The aliens would eventually discover the deception. Dr. Nam checked on the sleeping colonists. After the fake explosion, all the cryogenic systems had continued working perfectly. During their time in hiding, the sleeping families had no idea how close they had come to death. They continued dreaming of their new home on Kepler 442b while the crew guided them through the dangerous galaxy. Engineer Park became a hero among the crew for his brilliant deception, but he warned everyone that the trick would only work once. The Calithians would be more careful next time and might use different methods to verify kills. The new Sol would need new strategies to survive future encounters with alien patrol ships. Navigation Officer Kang plotted a new course that would take them even further from known trade routes. The journey would take slightly longer, but it would reduce their chances of meeting more Calithian patrols. Every extra month of travel time was worth it if it meant keeping the colonists safe from alien weapons. The crew settled into a routine for the long journey ahead. They would spend the next 30 years awake before joining the colonists in cryogenic sleep for the final phase. Scientists continued their research while engineers maintained the ship systems. Everyone had jobs that were essential for the mission's success. Captain Lim sent regular reports back to Earth using quantum communication systems. The messages took months to reach home, but they let people know that the colonists were still alive and heading toward their destination. The reports also included technical data about Calithian patrol patterns that might help future colony missions. As the new soul traveled deeper into space, the crew began to understand just how vast the galaxy really was. Their ship was moving at incredible speed, but the distances between stars were almost impossible to imagine. Earth was already so far away that its sun looked like just another point of light among millions of others. The sleeping colonists included some of the best minds that humanity had to offer: scientists, engineers, doctors, teachers, and artists who would help build a new civilization on Kepler 442b. They also included ordinary families who just wanted a better life for their children. Together, they represented the hope and determination of the entire human species. Years passed slowly as the new soul continued its journey through the darkness. The crew aged while the colonists remained frozen in time. Captain Lim watched his hair turn gray while he guided humanity toward its destiny. Sometimes he wondered if they would ever reach their destination, or if the Calithians would find them first, but every time doubt crept into his mind, Captain Lim reminded himself why they were making this journey. Humans had always been explorers who pushed beyond the boundaries of the known world: the ocean explorers who found new continents, the space pioneers who reached the moon and Mars, and now the interstellar colonists who dared to challenge an alien empire. The new soul was more than just a ship carrying people to a new planet. It was a symbol of human refusal to accept limitations. The Calithians had told humans to stay home, but here they were traveling toward the stars anyway. No alien empire could stop the human drive to explore and expand. The journey was far from over, and many dangers still lay ahead, but the colonists had already proven something important to themselves and to the galaxy. Humans would not be intimidated by threats, no matter how powerful the enemy might be. They were going to the stars, and nothing could stop them. 43 years after leaving Earth, the new soul finally arrived at Kepler 442b. And the sight that greeted them was beyond anything they had dreamed. The planet hung in space like a blue and green jewel, with white clouds covering continents that looked almost exactly like Earth. Dr. Song Minna was among the first to wake from cryogenic sleep, and she could hardly believe her eyes when she saw their new home. The colonists slowly awakened from their long sleep, stretching muscles that had not moved for decades. Children who had entered the pods as 5-year-olds were now adults ready to start their own families. Elderly pioneers who had risked everything for one last adventure were amazed to find themselves still alive and healthy. The cryogenic systems had worked perfectly, preserving 50,000 human lives through the long journey. Captain Lim guided the new soul into orbit around Kepler 442b while survey teams prepared to explore the planet's surface. The initial scans showed breathable air, clean water, and a climate that was perfect for human settlement. There were no signs of intelligent life, which meant the colonists would not have to worry about disturbing native species. Dr. Song led the first landing party down to the planet's surface in a small shuttle. The gravity was almost identical to Earth, and the air smelled fresh and sweet like spring morning back home. Vast oceans stretched to the horizon, while green forests covered rolling hills and broad valleys. It was everything the scientists had hoped to find when they first detected this world from Earth. The landing party explored for 3 days before choosing the perfect location for their first settlement. A wide valley surrounded by gentle hills provided protection from storms, while a clear river supplied fresh water. The soil was rich and dark, perfect for growing earth crops. The colonists decided to name their new home Haven City because it represented safety and hope after their dangerous journey. Architect Yoon Ji-hoon designed the colony using advanced 3-dimensional printing technology that could build entire buildings from local materials. The first structures rose from the empty landscape within weeks as automated machines worked around the clock. Each building was designed to be efficient and comfortable while blending with the natural environment. The colonists worked together like a giant family, with everyone contributing their skills to build their new civilization. Engineers installed power systems and communication networks, while doctors set up medical facilities. Teachers prepared schools for the children who would grow up on this alien world. Artists planned parks and gardens that would make Haven City beautiful, as well as functional agricultural specialist Libera made an amazing discovery when she tested the local soil. It was incredibly fertile, much better than the best farmland on Earth. The combination of mineral-rich dirt and Perfect climate meant that crops would grow faster and larger than they ever had back home. The colonists planted vast fields of rice, wheat, and vegetables, ensuring that no one would ever go hungry. Within 6 months, Haven City had grown from empty land into a thriving community of 10,000 people. The remaining colonists were awakened gradually as more housing and facilities were completed. Each person who opened their eyes for the first time on Kepler 442b felt the same wonder and joy at seeing their new home under an alien sun. Children born on the planet would be the first generation of true interstellar humans. They would grow up knowing only this world with its purple sunsets and twin moons in the night sky. These kids would never experience the pollution and overcrowding that had driven their parents to leave Earth. Their playground would be an entire planet with unlimited possibilities. The colonists established farms and workshops to produce everything they needed for their growing society. Engineers built factories that could manufacture tools, machines, and vehicles from local materials. Scientists set up laboratories to study their new world and search for useful resources. Teachers opened schools where children learned about both Earth history and their bright future among the stars. Dr. Song continued exploring the planet with teams of scientists and surveyors. They found incredible diversity in plant and animal life, with species that had evolved completely independently from Earth. Most of the creatures were harmless and some were quite beautiful. The planet seemed designed by nature to welcome human settlers. Unknown to the busy colonists, their activities had not gone completely unnoticed. A Calithian monitoring station on the edge of the star system had detected unusual energy patterns coming from the planet. Junior Officer Thex reported the strange readings to his commanding officer, but the report was dismissed as natural phenomena. The Calithian Empire was so confident in their power that they could not imagine primitive humans successfully evading their surveillance network. The aliens believed that any species advanced enough to reach other star systems would be detected immediately by their sensor networks. The idea that humans could hide an entire colony seemed impossible. 3 years after the colony was established, scout teams made an incredible discovery in the northern mountain ranges. Ancient ruins covered vast areas of the landscape, clearly built by an advanced civilization that had vanished long before humans arrived. The structures were unlike anything seen before, seeming to grow from the rock itself. Archaeologist Dr. Zhang Suan led expeditions to study the mysterious ruins. The buildings were made from materials that seemed to be part metal and part living tissue. The architecture followed patterns that hurt human eyes to look at directly, suggesting mathematics and physics beyond current understanding. Power sources deep within the structures still functioned after unknown ages. The colonists called the vanished builders the architects because of the incredible complexity of their constructions. Every surface was covered with symbols and patterns that seemed to shift and change when viewed from different angles. Some rooms contained devices that responded to human presence, lighting up or making soft musical sounds when people entered. The Arjang team worked carefully to document everything they found without disturbing the ancient structures. The architects had clearly possessed technology that was far advanced even compared to the Calithian Empire. Their buildings had survived for thousands or millions of years without any maintenance, showing engineering skills that seemed almost magical. The discovery of the ruins raised important questions about what had happened to the architects. Where had they gone and why had they left behind such incredible technology? Some colonists worried that the same fate might await humanity on this world. Others believed that the ruins were a gift left behind to help future civilizations. As the colonists explored deeper into the mountain ruins, they found larger and more complex structures. Some buildings extended deep underground, connected by tunnels that stretched for kilometers. The entire mountain range seemed to be one massive construction project built by beings who understood science and engineering far beyond human knowledge. Haven City continued to grow and prosper while the archaeological team studied the architect ruins. The colonists had successfully established their new home on Kepler 442b, proving that humans could thrive among the stars despite alien threats. But the ancient ruins suggested that their story was far from over. The mountains held secrets that might change everything. The architects had left behind more than just empty buildings. They had left behind technology that could reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. The colonists did not know it yet, but they had chosen to settle on the one planet that could give them the tools to fight back against the Calithian Empire. Haven City was no longer just a human colony, it was sitting on top of the greatest archaeological discovery in galactic history. Dr. Zhang Suan carefully brushed dust away from another section of architect symbols on the wall deep inside the mountain ruins. She had been studying these ancient writings for 2 years, but they still amazed her with their complexity. The symbols seemed to contain layers of meaning that changed based on how they were read, almost like the architects had built multiple messages into every single line of text. Engineer O. Taeyeon was working in a different part of the ruins trying to understand how the ancient power system still functioned after so many thousands of years. The energy sources were unlike anything humans had ever seen. They seemed to draw power from the planet itself using methods that human science could barely detect. The technology was so advanced it appeared almost magical. The breakthrough came when O accidentally activated a hidden panel while examining what looked like decorative carvings. The wall suddenly became transparent, showing a vast underground chamber filled with massive machines that hummed with barely contained energy. The engineer realized he had stumbled onto something that would change everything for the human colonists. Dr. Kim Na-yeon rushed to join O when she heard about his discovery. As the colony leading physicist, she was the best person to analyze whatever the architects had left behind. What she found in that hidden chamber made her hands shake with excitement. The ancient aliens had built a planetary defense network that could protect entire star systems from invasion. The machines in the chamber were connected to similar installations all across the planet through what appeared to be quantum entanglement systems. The architects had learned to manipulate space and time itself to create weapons that could strike across vast distances instantly. Their technology operated on principles that human science was only beginning to understand. Dr. Song organized teams of scientists and engineers to study the architect defense systems. Working together, they slowly learned how to interface with the alien technology. The machines responded to mental commands from humans almost as if they had been designed specifically for human minds. This seemed impossible, but the evidence was undeniable. As the research teams explored deeper into the mountain complex, they discovered the tragic history of the architects, written in symbols on chamber walls. The story unfolded of an advanced, peaceful civilization that had been destroyed by the Calithian Empire. The aliens had attacked without warning, slaughtering billions of innocent beings across multiple worlds. The historical records showed that the architects had been working desperately to complete their planetary defense network when the Calithians arrived. Their technology was incredibly advanced, but they had built their weapons too late to save themselves. The Empire destroyed their civilization, but never found the hidden installations deep in the mountains. The defense network had been waiting for thousands of years for someone worthy to inherit its power. The architects had programmed their machines to recognize species that shared their values of peace, exploration, and protection of innocent life. Humanity had unknowingly chosen to settle on the one world that could give them the power to resist their oppressors. Engineer O made another startling discovery. When he accessed the main control chamber, the planetary defense system was not just weapons. It was also a massive computer network that contained all the scientific knowledge of the architect civilization: mathematics, physics, engineering, medicine, and technologies that were centuries ahead of human understanding. Dr. Kim worked with O2. Slowly unlocked the secrets of architect science. Their weapons used exotic matter and manipulated the fundamental forces of the universe in ways that seemed impossible. The defense platforms could create energy barriers that would stop any attack, while their offensive systems could destroy targets on the other side of the galaxy. The colonists faced a difficult decision about whether to activate the ancient defense network. Some people argued that using weapons they did not fully understand was too dangerous. The architect technology was so advanced that one mistake could destroy the entire planet. Others insisted that the defenses were their only hope for survival against the Calithian Empire. Commander Choi Dong-yoon had become the leader of Haven City security forces after the colony was established. He strongly supported activating the defense network. The Calithians would eventually discover the human settlement, and when that day came, the colonists needed every advantage they could find. Dr. Jang discovered more historical records that showed the true scope of Calithian brutality. The empire had destroyed hundreds of civilizations over thousands of years. They did not just conquer other species, they completely eliminated them to prevent any possibility of future resistance. The Calithians viewed other forms of life as diseases to be cured through extermination. The archaeological evidence proved that the Calithians had been systematically destroying any species that showed signs of technological advancement. They wanted to be the only intelligent life in the galaxy, and they were willing to commit genocide on an unimaginable scale to achieve this goal. Billions of beings had died to feed the empire hunger for absolute power. Learning about the architect fate made the colonists realize that their own survival was at stake. The Calithians would not be satisfied with just stopping human expansion. They would eventually decide that humanity itself was too dangerous to be allowed to exist. The only choice was to fight back using whatever weapons they could find. Dr. Song organized training programs to teach colonists how to operate the architect defense systems. The ancient machines were surprisingly easy to use once humans learned to think in the right patterns. The technology seemed to anticipate what users wanted to do and provided helpful guidance through mental interfaces. As more colonists learned to work with the architect systems, the true power of the technology became clear. The defense network could create protective barriers around the entire planet that would stop any weapon the Calithians possessed. The offensive systems could strike back at attacking fleets with precision that would make resistance impossible. Engineer O discovered that the architects had built backup systems throughout the galaxy, hidden installations on dozens of worlds, all connected through quantum networks that operated faster than light. The colonists on Kepler 442b were not just inheriting one planetary defense system. They were gaining access to a galactic resistance network. The ancient aliens had planned for this moment when another species would take up the fight against Calithian tyranny. They had built their technology to be used by beings who shared their commitment to freedom and exploration. The architects had been defeated, but their legacy lived on in the machines they left behind. Dr. Kim made the final breakthrough when she learned to fully interface with the main control systems. The defense network was not just waiting to be activated, it was eager to fulfill its purpose. The machines had been designed with artificial intelligence that retained the memories and values of their creators. The colonists voted to begin activating the architect defense systems despite the risks. They would rather die fighting for freedom than live as slaves to an alien empire. The decision was unanimous among the adults, while the children would grow up protected by ancient technology that their parents had inherited. As the first defense platforms came online, the colonists felt a change in the air around them. The planet itself seemed to wake up as dormant systems throughout the mountain ranges began to function for the first time in thousands of years. Kepler 442b was transforming from a simple colony world into a fortress that could challenge the Calithian Empire. The architects had waited patiently for someone to continue their fight against tyranny. Now humanity would carry that torch forward, using ancient wisdom to protect the freedom of all species in the galaxy. The colonists had come to Kepler 442b seeking a new home, but they had found something much more important. They had found the power to change the galaxy forever. 5 years after Haven City was established, Calithian patrol ships finally detected unusual energy signatures coming from Kepler 442b. The readings were unlike anything their sensors had recorded before, suggesting the presence of advanced technology. On what should have been an empty world, the patrol commander immediately sent an urgent message to the Imperial Fleet General Vex. Received the report while commanding the Imperial battle station above the Calithian homeworld. His red eyes glowed brighter with rage when he realized that primitive humans had somehow evaded his surveillance network for years. The general had personally promised the Emperor that no species would be allowed to expand beyond their home systems. The general assembled the largest battle fleet in Calithian history, over 200 warships armed with weapons that could reduce entire continents to molten rock. Each ship was a masterpiece of destructive engineering built specifically to eliminate rebellious species. The fleet was large enough to sterilize dozens of planets. Without stopping to resupply, General Vex commanded the fleet personally from his flagship, the Dominator, a massive vessel that was larger than some moons. The ship weapons could destroy cities with single shots, while its shields could withstand attacks from entire planetary defense systems. The general planned to make an example of these defiant humans that would terrify other species for generations. The Imperial fleet traveled to Kepler 442b, using their fastest ships arriving in the star system like a swarm of mechanical locusts. The warships filled space around the planet, blotting out stars with their sheer numbers. General Vex expected to complete his mission within hours, adding another dead world to the Empire collection of conquered territories from Haven City. The colonists watched in horror as alien vessels appeared in their skies. The ships were so numerous that they blocked out the sun, casting the planet's surface into an eerie twilight. Children who had never seen war pressed their faces against windows, staring up at the armada that had come to destroy everything they had ever known. But there was no panic in the streets of Haven City. The adults had spent years preparing for this moment, learning to operate the Architect defense systems that lay hidden beneath their feet. The ancient weapons had been waiting thousands of years for this battle, and now they would finally fulfill their purpose. DRO stood in the main control chamber deep beneath the city, surrounded by Architect technology that hummed with barely contained power, and the machines responded to his thoughts as he prepared to activate the planetary defense network systems that had slept for millennia began to wake up as energy flowed through quantum conduits buried throughout the planet. General Vex gave the order to begin the bombardment, confident that his superior firepower would quickly crush any resistance. The first wave of Calithian weapons fired down at the planet's surface, energy beams so powerful they could melt mountains. The general expected to see continents burning within minutes. Instead, massive energy barriers materialized around Kepler 442b, absorbing the alien bombardment completely. The planet's surface remained untouched, while the Calithian weapons accomplished nothing more than creating pretty light shows in the upper atmosphere. General Vex stared in disbelief as his most powerful guns failed to harm a single building. Ancient weapon platforms emerged from hidden installations throughout the mountain ranges, rising from the ground like metal flowers blooming after rain. The Architect defense systems had remained concealed for thousands of years, but now they revealed themselves in all their terrible glory. Each platform was armed with weapons that bent the laws of physics. Space around Kepler 442b became a battleground between two vastly different technologies. Calithian energy weapons met Architect particle beams and explosions that lit up the star system. The aliens had numerical superiority, but the human-controlled defense network had been designed by masters of war who understood conflict on a galactic scale. Dr. Kim coordinated the defense from her position in the central command center. The Architect systems provided tactical information directly to her mind, showing the positions and capabilities of every enemy ship. The ancient computers calculated firing solutions faster than any Calithian battle system could respond. One by one, the Imperial warships began to fall under the precise fire of the planetary defenses. The Architect weapons struck with accuracy that seemed impossible, hitting weak points in Calithian shields and armor that the aliens did not even know existed. Ships that had terrorized dozens of worlds were reduced to debris in seconds. General Vex watched his invincible fleet being destroyed by weapons he could not understand. The humans had somehow gained access to technology that was more advanced than anything in the Imperial arsenal. His tactical computers could not even track the enemy weapons. They moved too fast and struck from impossible angles. The battle raged for 3 days, as the Calithian Empire threw everything they had against the human colony. Reinforcement fleets arrived, only to be destroyed by the inexorable Architect defenses. The ancient weapons never missed and never ran out of ammunition, powered by energy sources that the aliens could not comprehend. Commander Choi watched the battle from Haven City Plaza as alien ships burned in the sky above. The colonists cheered each time another Imperial vessel exploded, knowing that their children would grow Up free from Calithian tyranny, the architect legacy was protecting them just as the ancient builders had intended. Dr. Gang studied the tactical displays showing how the defense network operated the architect systems were not just destroying enemy ships, they were analyzing Calithian technology and adapting their attacks accordingly. The ancient machines learned from each engagement, becoming more effective with every passing hour on. The third day, General Vex finally admitted defeat and ordered his surviving ships to retreat. The once mighty Imperial fleet limped away from Kepler 442b, reduced to less than 50 vessels from the original 200. The general had never experienced such a crushing defeat in his entire military career. The colonists of Haven City had achieved the impossible. They had faced the full might of the Calithian Empire and emerged victorious. Word of their triumph spread through the galaxy, carried by automated message probes that the architect systems launched toward every inhabited world. Other oppressed species heard the news and began to hope. For the first time in generations, the humans had proven that the Calithian Empire could be defeated, that their weapons were not invincible. Their victory became a symbol of resistance that inspired rebellions across dozens of star systems. Dr. Song began sharing architect technology with allied species using the ancient quantum communication networks. The defense systems had been designed to help any civilization that opposed Calithian tyranny. Soon, other worlds were building their own versions of the planetary shields and orbital weapons platforms. The human colony that had started as 50,000 refugees fleeing Earth had become the foundation of a galactic revolution. Captain Lim, who had guided them safely through their long journey, now found himself the leader of an interstellar alliance fighting for freedom. Engineer worked tirelessly to expand the architect network, connecting more worlds to the ancient defense systems. The technology was designed to grow and adapt, creating an ever stronger shield against Imperial aggression. Every new world that joined the alliance made the entire network more powerful. The Calithian Empire had thought they could intimidate humans into submission, but they had underestimated the human spirit. When faced with impossible odds, humans did not surrender. They found ways to turn weakness into strength. The colonists had been warned not to come to the stars, but they had come anyway. Now they were not just surviving among the stars, they were liberating them. Haven City had become the capital of a growing federation of free worlds, united by their shared hatred of Calithian oppression. The ancient architects had found worthy inheritors for their legacy of resistance. The galaxy would never be the same. The age of Calithian dominance was ending, and the age of human-led freedom was just beginning. The colonists had kept their promise to come to the stars no matter what aliens tried to stop them. They had come and they had conquered.